I really can't see. I don't have no glasses on, and it's getting kind of dark in here because the sun's setting here. Um, the thing is I've always thought that my generation should be the generation that lives a lot longer than the millennials and the Z's and the other alphabets and numerals and hieroglyphics that they would have put out there. I just noticed that they're killing our generation, and this is not something that I want to talk about, but something that we have to that I wanted people to hear. I believe that they're killing my generation, and I believe they're doing it for a reason. They are so afraid of us. They're afraid of my generation so much that they're picking us off. They're picking us off with diseases, like cancer, you know, uh, uh, you know, lupus, diabetes, many other factors and diseases that they're bringing out, like they're bringing back smallpox, they're bringing back yellow fever, they're bringing back all these viruses that been in dormant, and now they're looking at the new generation as being the most powerful generation. Because look at Vince. Vince is 35 years old. He'll be the youngest president probably ever if anything happened to Donald Trump. Now, he'll be the youngest president ever to a point that he's like 35 years old. Now, if Trump lived through his 4 years, he probably won't be the oldest president ever being uh you know inaugurated. But the thing about it is that why do they never ever have a Generation X president? Did anybody ever think about that? That they never had a Generation X president? And why do they keep skipping over Generation X's every time they talk about the generations? You hear about the baby boomers, then you hear about the millennials, then you hear about the Z's, but you never hear anything about the Generation X's because I believe they're trying to get rid of us. Because you gotta understand what we lived through. And I know a lot of the millennials and Z's will say, "Oh, why are y'all complaining?" Because you gotta understand what we lived through. We lived through a lot of shit back when we were growing up, and I always try to make it not back and forth between the generations. But my generation is the greatest generation of all time because we went through so much shit. Now I know that people say, "Oh, you forgot about the baby boomers? They went through the wars and they went through all that." Yes, they did. I mean, they did the same thing as the Generation X's did, but we were there before everything that was ever created. Like, look, we were there before the internet. We were there before cell phones. We were there before video games. We were there before things that disc. We were there when they had CDs, and then they had the CD-ROM. Then they had dial-up. We had all these things in front of us, which we really didn't give a fuck about. We didn't care about the cell phone. I keep telling Generation Z's we did not care nothing about the cell phones. We didn't care nothing about the internet. We didn't care about none of these things because all we wanted to do is go outside and play. All we wanted to do is go to the club, get high, and chill. That's all we wanted to do. We didn't want to sit there and be bored all day. You know what I mean? We didn't want to sit behind a computer, but they forced us to. And my generation is trying to get out of that. And you see it today that my generation doesn't want to do that. They don't want to be behind video games and play video games all day. They don't want to, be on their phone all day long looking through apps. We don't want to do that. So you know what they did? Besides us doing these things and not making the companies money, they'll kill us. Because look at this. Look at the 40-year-olds, man. 40-year-olds are dying more than any other age. Isn't that crazy? 40-year-olds. So Generation X is like around that age. Because I'm 49, I'm going on 50, which I dealt with a heart issue all my life. But, if I make it to be 50, it's like me making it to 20 or making it to 21 when I was younger. Because everybody knew that 21, once you made it to 21, you made it because the average age of a black man living is not even past the age of 21. Now we have to reach the age of 40. We have to reach the age of 50, and we reach the age of 50, we actually accomplished something, right? So I always say that I want to make it to 50, not because I want to accomplish something. It's just that I know that they're taking our lives. They're taking our lives because we are the greatest generation of all time. We are feared. Like my generation is so feared. You know what I mean? It's so true that my generation is so feared. Like it's crazy that you don't see a lot of leadership that are in their 40s or in their 50s or in their early 50s or in their late 50s, like having leaders that are presidents and shit like that. And the thing about it is that people will say, well, you gotta look at it as, people vote who they vote for, but you gotta understand, we live through so much trauma. And I know it should be a lot of Generation X's should be saying that behind me, that we live through so much trauma. We lived through the most dangerous era of all time. We lived through the crack era. We lived through the violent guns that Philadelphia and many other parts of the United States were tops in murder rate. You know what I mean? And guns were just a popularity thing. People think guns are scary today. Just live in the 90s and you will be scared of guns. Even though wasn't scared of guns because, we hear gunshots outside, we go right back outside and play because our parents are like, okay, they stop shooting. All right, go outside, be home before the sun sets behind the pole over there. We were not scared of gunplay. We wasn't scared of bullets because we used to hear them every fucking night. We used to go through drive-bys. We used to go through sitting on the street, hanging out with our friends, and we would see a drive-by happen. We see cops fly by. We would sit on our porches all night talking, hoping that the 90s will never end. And it did. And it did. And it hurt us. And I believe the 90s really were our time. And even though, we got to give up our generation to get to the next generation, but it's hard for us to not reminisce. And I said the best thing for us is to reminisce about the past because the past is the only fun and relaxation that we had because that's our best memory is our past. You know what I mean? It's our past memory. That's why I'm like, I will never, ever, ever stop thinking about the 90s. I would never stop thinking about the late 80s. I would never stop thinking about, breakdancing. I never stop thinking about the food. I'll never stop thinking about the sports like football, basketball, hockey. I will never tennis, golf, where all the greatness was, all the singers, all the rappers, everybody that we had in our generation is long or older or gone. And I believe that they're taking us away because I believe they fear. I believe that they fear us, man. I don't care what anybody say. I believe the government fears Generation X. They want to get rid of us so bad because we are protecting the millennials and we also are protecting the Z's. But getting rid of us will help the government control the Z's and control the millennials. Because millennials are not going to fight back. They're going to actually try to protect the Z's because that's their children. So they're going to protect them. So the government's going to easily come in and take over. We were the ones that were able to protect the millennials and the Z's. The millennials and the Z's. But we never got a chance to because they're taking our lives, dog. Like, how do 40-year-olds die so suddenly, man, from heart attacks? We are dying from more heart attacks than any other disease. Like, how are we? Like, what? We played around all the time. We rode our bikes all the time. We were always in the outside every fucking day. And they act like, oh, we can't go outside and enjoy ourselves. So we got to die from heart attacks. Like, that's all we're dying from. And it's crazy. Every time I'm hearing another Generation X die from a heart attack. And I'm like, how is this happening? Even women that are Generation Xers, they're dying from heart attacks. How? We were the most healthiest kids in the fucking planet because all we did was go outside. All we did was go camping or play sports or go to barbecues and have fun, go to events, go to like concerts and go to clubs and go to places that we like normally go to and enjoy ourselves and not get tired. We'll be home by the time, and next thing you know, we're home in our rooms playing Genesis or we playing PlayStation 1 and we playing Nintendo 64. We are in our rooms chilling, not doing anything except sitting in our rooms, and we're not going outside because our mom made sure once we finish eating dinner, if it's on a weekend, we're going to spend time in our room for the rest of the night. And even on Sundays, we're outside. First, we probably got to go to church, but once we come home, we grab that bike, we outside. And I want to know how the fuck the most healthiest generation Like I said, Generation X is the most healthiest generation. End up dying. Why is this? Why is the government coming after us? Why are they coming after us? What did we do so wrong? They can't they running experiments under us and they're running experiments on us and they're finding out like god damn, like are we alien based or something? Are we robots? I don't know. I wouldn't know why they will take our lives. And we're supposed to be the healthiest. We're supposed to be the most energetic. We're supposed to be the ones that know things. And we're supposed to be helping these generations. But we are not. They already know the older generation, like the baby boomers, are getting old, so they don't have to do nothing with them. They don't have to do stuff with us, and we're the ones that are taking these diseases to the head. Saying, you know what? Since these diseases is probably going to take me, I might as well go. It's not fair, man. It's really not fair. My generation has been through so much that we should actually have a motherfucking plaque out talking about our generation and the things that we had done in our generation that will open up these motherfucking other new generations' eyes to make them see how what the fuck that we've been through. You know what I mean? We had a plaque up of somebody being shot every fucking day. You know what I mean? We had drive. You know, drive-bys now. Drive-bys are not even like what drive-bys was back when I was growing up, dog. And we used to have home invasions. Home invasions are not even like what they were today. Like it's like a lot of these home invasions are weak as shit. A lot of these carjacks are weak. You know what I mean? Because they don't have what we have. Because that's all we did. That's all we did. We did the things that we knew that we were going to get in trouble for, but we did not give a fuck. But we, the cops, the cops were not that violent. And I'm gonna tell you the truth, the cops was not violent back when we were growing up. They weren't. They wasn't beating us down and shooting us. I mean, they did shoot, but they wasn't that violent. You know what I mean? They'll lock us up, then we'll be in jail for a couple of days, and then we be put out of jail. Now I'm not talking about LA. I'm not talking about anywhere that, have a lot of violence. But we had choices to make in our lives. We can graduate high school, which was the hardest fucking thing to do because we had the hardest educational system ever. We had to read things. We had to open up books. We had to read from cardboard back books. Like we had to, you know, we had to do everything on paper. We had to use a calculator. We had to use a piece of not just a piece of paper. We had to use a piece of tissue. You know what I mean? We had to get phone numbers from a female through going to a Chinese store if we didn't have a pen, hoping that the Chinese store will let us use our pen. Because half the time the Chinese store will let us use their pen, and we'll get a phone number. Because half the time the Chinese person is like, "Well, you need to get a pen if you're going to be talking to these girls." They'll tell you straight the fuck up. Chinese people back then were not afraid of no black man. Like they were not scared of no black man or black woman. They were not scared. So they will tell you, look, you need to get a pen if you want to be talking to these girls out here. And that was the fucking truth. You know what I mean? We had it hard, yo. We had it hard. If we really wanted to get a job, yeah, jobs were probably easier for us. Getting a house was probably easy for us. Our apartment was probably easy for us. All the things, because everything was cheap. But when we got to a point that everything was hard, they looked at us. Like, everybody looked at us like, damn, oh, they had it easy. Now we got to get rid of them because they're going to start talking about how easy they had it and how rough. So now we can't listen to how rough it is today because we won't be able to make money off these kids if they learn how easy it was back in the 90s and back in the 80s than it is now. It's hard as shit. And we got a president that really don't give a fuck about us, so he's gonna raise prices on every fucking thing and make it hard for us to live and all this other kind of stuff. So we gotta start getting rid of these Generation X's. So they start getting rid of us. It's a shame that we can't be healthy and be one of the most healthiest generations of all time, which we should have been. We should be rated as the healthiest generation. We should be rated as the number one generation of all time because this generation, these new generations can never compete against the older generation of Generation X. They can't even compete against the fucking baby boomers. They can't even compete against the baby boomers. That's the thing. So the baby boomers trusted us, and we try to trust the millennials, but the millennials turned their back and they wanted to be part of this new generation. And my generation is trying to be part of this new generation. And I don't know why we're trying to be part of this new generation. We need to let them have their generation. And we need to just, if they're going to kill us, let them kill us. You know what I mean? Because we didn't do nothing to them. And it's going to feel kind of bad when they get rid of all the Generation X and they're going to need us. And we're all going to be gone. And honestly, we'll feel more comfortable gone because once they start a nuclear war, we'll be all gone. So We don't have to worry about the violence that's going to happen when they do a nuclear war. So Generation X's are always going to be resting in peace, and while you have these motherfucking um um you know millennials and the millennials are living fine, and you got the fucking Generation Z's. They're living fine. Generation X are the ones that Generation X's are sick. Deal with all these different diseases and dying. It's crazy. We're not living past 40. I was just talking to my homie today about that today. I said, "Dang, it's crazy how the millennials are living. Generation X's are dying. We're dying by the boatloads, yo. We're afraid to even go out in the street. It's not because we're dying of just an average lifestyle. We're dying of sicknesses. And it's crazy. All these new sicknesses is coming from my generation. It's not coming from the newer generation. All these generation sicknesses are coming from my generation. So they're looking at my generation as a dangerous generation. And I believe that they actually probably blame COVID on my generation and they blame like monkeypox. Think about that. Monkeypox is the same as chickenpox or smallpox. So they blame that on my generation. They blame measles on my generation. They blame AIDS on my generation. These are the diseases that they blame us, and this is the diseases that we're dying from. And most of the diseases that we're dying from are heart attacks and strokes. And it's crazy. My friends that I knew for years are gone. My boy's friends that he knew for years gone, and with a snap of a finger. And these are all 40-year-olds or in their mid 40s or in their early 50s. It's crazy and it's sad, man. We only have like three. We got what I think about 30 million, 36 million left of us, and we're living day to day. I think that we all should get together as Generation X, and this is a problem. Peace.